if you can name one good and one bad, what would that be that you feel is like coming to you right now that's hitting your top of mind that you would love to just share with others and you think it's important for them to know?
Well, I can actually give you something that happened to me that combined good and bad.
Wonderful. Let's go for it.
And so this was many years ago. I was stationed in the state of Utah, and I was living in a barracks, single, young guy, just got into the military. And my roommate happened to be somebody, a Caucasian man. His name was Dave. And the thing about Dave was he loved fast cars, absolutely loved them. He had I can't even remember the year it was, but it was a GTO. It was very, very fast. And Dave had no problem in showing people how fast that car was. So here's what occurred. I went with him one night. We just took a drive around. He decided to kind of punch it. And of course, sooner or later you get caught, and cops did go behind him. Well, Dave decided to run from the cops. Now, again, you got to remember, this is Utah in the early 80s. So Dave ran, and then eventually, of course, they caught him. Again, I'm the passenger, Dave's the driver. The bad part of it.
So he ran out of the car? He stopped the car and ran? Or
No,
he kept
he
driving?
ran with the car, with me in it, and with me yelling very loudly, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop the
Yeah.
car!"
Yeah.
But they caught us and they pulled us out. So the first thing they did with me was they pulled me out and had me lay on the ground. I had a very large police officer with a large shotgun basically pointed right at me. Dave, they took out of the car. They brought him over to area, a patrol car, one of the other areas. And they sat there and they talked to him. Well, one of the things that the police officers told him was that, hey, if you want to get out of this, just say that your passenger was driving the car. That
No, he
was,
didn't.
and I didn't find out about this until we both got back. And so Dave, being the person that he is, basically said, no, I'm not putting this on him. It was my fault. I'll take the blame, you know? So with that said, it was very bad in that, but there was also a lot of good in it. He's a good person. Again, he happens to be somebody that was white, but I think that's what you have to view. It's going to be good and bad anytime we're dealing with these type of issues. But that's the one that stands out the most. It's something that's been with me ever since then. I mean, I keep thinking about how bad things were back then and how people of minorities were treated. But, since then, I've worked with PD, I've worked with fire, been all over the place. And you have people that support you, regardless of what your color is, regardless of what your gender is. But you have some people still out there they don't want to do anything to help you. They just would like to see you fail. And those are the people you have to try to avoid.
I was wondering, why did you mention the race at the beginning, but I didn't want to interrupt you. But
Mhm,
I understand
mhm.
why that was an important element to highlight. Hey, 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 welcome back to Raw Talks. My name is Rye Hannah, like rye bread, and I'll be your host. Just a reminder, Raw Talks is a platform that amplifies stories from inspirational women and allies, highlighting their raw struggles, challenges, and successes along their journeys as they define success on their own terms. Today, we have a very, very special guest and a powerful ally joining our conversation. It is Officer Ron King, who is a man whose life has been defined by service, beginning with a decorated 21-year career in the Air Force and continuing today as a fire inspector and arson investigator, for the Bellevue Fire Department here in the state of Washington. With the decades of experience as a firefighter, EMT, for those of you not familiar, emergency medical technician, and educator, Officer Ron has navigated the complexities of being a minority in the fire service while maintaining a deep commitment to mentoring others. We are honored to have him here to share his journey of resilience and his mission to inspire the next generation. Officer Ron, I would love to just dive right in, but I always love to give some space and grace to the folks that that is in front of me, and see if you have any words you want to share before we get started.
Yeah, thank you for the chance to be on your podcast. And, I hope my words can help others when they view it. I hope they can take something away from it. It's just basically, I've experienced a lot of things in my life, and some of them good, some of them bad, but definitely a lot of lessons learned during that time.
Already curious. You said some of them good, some of them bad. When somebody says, I hope somebody's going to get something from this, you know already you're going to get 1,000 things good because this is a humble man right here, y'all. Like 100% humble. I had the honor of meeting this officer for an open house, and he was just a gem teaching how to do CPR, not just on an infant, but an adult, and really dedicated and allowing himself to educate us about how to really do the CPR correctly. And so I think he just underestimated the value he's going to share today. I think you guys are in for a treat. And I just want to say again, thank you so much for the honor to do this interview. So, officer, if you can name one good and one bad, what would that be that you would love to just share with others and you think it's important for them to know?
Well, I can actually give you something that happened to me that combined good and bad.
Wonderful. Let's go for it.
And so this was many years ago. I was stationed in the state of Utah, and I was living in a barracks, single, young guy, just got into the military. And my roommate happened to be somebody, a Caucasian man. His name was Dave. And the thing about Dave was he loved fast cars,
Mm.
absolutely loved them. He had I can't even remember the year it was, but it was a GTO. It was very, very fast. And Dave had no problem in showing people how fast that car was. So here's what occurred. I went with him one night. We just took a drive around. He decided
Okay.
to kind of punch it. And of course, sooner or later, you get caught. And cops did go behind him. Well, Dave decided to run from the cops. Now, again, you got to remember this is Utah in the early 80s. So Dave ran. And then eventually, of course, they caught him. Again, I'm the passenger, Dave's the driver. The bad part of it ran with the car, with me in it, and with me yelling very loudly, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop the
Yeah.
car!"
Yeah.
But they caught us and they pulled us out. So the first thing they did with me was they pulled me out and had me lay on the ground. I had a very large police officer with a large shotgun basically pointed right at me. Dave, they took out of the car. They brought him over to area, a patrol car, one of the other areas. And they sat there and they talked to him. Well, one of the things that the police officers told him was that, hey, if you want to get out of this, just say that your passenger was driving the car.
Oh,
That
no, he
was
didn't.
And I didn't find out about this until we both got back. And so Dave, being the person that he is, basically said, "No, I'm not putting this on him. It was my fault. I'll take the blame." You know.
Wow.
So with that said, it was very bad in that, but there was also a lot of good in it. He's a good person. Again, he happens to be somebody that was white, but I think that's what you have to view. It's going to be good and bad anytime we're dealing with these type of issues. But
Yeah.
that's the one that stands out the most. It's something that's been with me ever since then. I mean, I keep thinking about how bad things were back then and how people of minorities were treated. But since then, I've worked with PD, I've worked with fire, been all over the place, and you have people that support you, regardless of what your color is, regardless of what your gender is. But you have some people still out there that they don't want to do anything to help you. They just would like to see you fail. And those are the people you have to try to avoid.
I was wondering why did you mention the race at the beginning, but I didn't want to interrupt you. But
Mhm,
I understand
mhm.
why that was an important element to highlight, and I am so sorry that happened, and it's worse when you don't hear it to your face.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is if Dave had agreed to do that,
Yeah.
my military career that just started would have effectively been over, which
You
means
both were in the military at the time, right? I was gonna ask you, in the fire at the time, you were in the military.
we
So
were in the
even
military.
being military, you
Mhm.
guys were still treated like regular people. Like, it wasn't like you got a pass because you're in the military or anything like
Oh
that.
no, we were treated like regular people, and this was off base, of course. This was off base
Yeah.
PD, but yeah, no, we treated like regular people. You didn't get well, what's the best way to say it? You didn't get a free pass because you're in the military.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't expect that. I would expect us to we didn't only have to meet the same or abide by the same rules
Yeah.
that civilians did. We
Yeah.
actually had more rules to abide by. So we're
Oh,
above that.
interesting.
The expectation of a military member is extremely high. And that's what the
Wow.
public expects when they look at their military.
And it's unfortunate that it was almost like they were just trying to put you under the bus.
right.
because of your identity, what would you call him?
I just called him my friend.
Your friend? Okay,
He was my best
friend.
buddy. He was my friend,
Aw.
and we spent a lot of time together while we were stationed there
Yeah.
in Utah. We did lots of things together. But yeah, I mean, I'm thankful that God blessed me with somebody like him that was
Yeah.
in that situation because, again, it could have been someone else that might have said, "Hey, I don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
I'm just going to pass this on." And by that time, at the time that this happened, we'd been roommates for, I believe it was approximately 6 months. So it's not like we grew up together and, we were
Wow.
together for 15
Yeah.
years. We literally were in the same room for about 6 months. So, but
Wow.
his integrity and everything, he did not compromise that. He stuck to his guns. He accepted his punishment and he refused to let them do this to me. And
Yeah.
so I owed him a great deal. I really did.
Do you still talk to Dave? Is Dave still around? I should ask.
I lost contact with him
Oh man.
probably about 15 years ago. No, it's more than that. Jeez, wow. I'm about to age myself. It's been about 25 years.
Well, you know what, sir? We're gonna put a call out to Dave here. Dave, I don't know what your last name is, but if you're listening, Officer Ron remembers you, and he's thanking you for that day back in Utah when you saved him by owning up to your own duties at that moment. And he's very grateful for you. So if you ever hear this podcast, give Officer Ron a ping, and you'll find his contact information at the bottom of this description, Dave. Please do that for me if you don't mind. All right.
So
So maybe Dave might actually be listening, sir, and I'd love to hear if he actually does ping you after this. That would be
that'd be
pretty
wonderful.
cool.
Yeah,
That
it'd
would
be
be really
nice.
cool. Well, you know what, sir? I want to thank you for sharing that. So I totally understand what you went through at that moment. And it reminded me of a time, and you folks might have heard this before if you listen to Raw Talks episodes. I didn't always wear the traditional headscarf. This is called a hijab, by the way, in Arabic. And when I did start wearing it, I was already working in my early 20s in a healthcare field. And I had colleagues who saw me before I started wearing it and who saw me after and didn't recognize me. And when I went, I would travel between offices a lot back in LA. And one of the offices I went to was like 45 minutes away from my home location, my home office. It was a going away party for a colleague who I felt was like a good friend. And I drove that far because I really appreciated the time that she invested together and the help that she helped support me and everything. So I was like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go support her and see her off. Anyway, when I went, I felt so awkward. And I was wearing my hijab and I felt so out of place, like I didn't belong there. And it was strange because these were people were there that I work with, and many that were just from her office, but even the ones that I work with, I didn't feel like I was welcomed. But what hurt me more was when I came back home, that same girl who was leaving, she called me to tell Rihanna, I want you to know I'm so sorry, but I have to tell you what happened. I'm like, what happened? And she's got one kid at the time and she's pregnant with the other. And she said, as a mother of two kids, I want you to know that I support you in everything that you do. And I never want my kids to hate anybody. I'm like, what are you talking? And then she's like, you know, that other girl that I work with in the office? I'm not going to say any names. Actually, I can't even remember her name if I wanted to right now. But she's like, that girl that I work with in the office, she came up to me at the event and said, what is Rihanna wearing on her head? Why does she have that big thing on her head? And I'm like, what? Why would somebody say something like that? And at first, it didn't make me feel bad. But when I would go back in the office and I would see her at the luncheons, like the team luncheons and everything, I didn't feel like I wanted to talk to her because I didn't feel like she was somebody who wanted me around just because I look different now. And I want people to know what Officer King went through is not fun. He didn't express that much pain, but I'll tell you, that was 25 years ago. I'm sure it still hurts. Let me give you time to comment if you wanted to say anything that I said, and I'll get to my next question.
No, so yeah, I do agree. I mean, it's a hard thing, right? You go through life and you deal with people. Sometimes you can pick up on these type of attitudes or
Yeah,
some of the, I guess you would say, racist beliefs that they have,
yeah,
and that occurs everywhere, regardless of what field you're in. Working in the uniform services, both the military and the fire service, I can tell you that there's no room for that
Yeah.
thinking, that way of thinking. You know, if you think that way, you got to understand that when you're providing service, let's go back to fire service.
Yeah.
If I'm providing life-saving services or whatever to anyone, regardless
Mhm.
of the color, gender, whatever, it has to be the same. It has to, you have to live up to your oath to protect. Life above all else is to protect. If that is altered because of the color of someone's skin or their gender or whatever else you see as, hey, I don't accept that, you're in the wrong career. So, but on the outside, again, I go to outside in public. I didn't mention that my wife happens to be white. She's Caucasian. And ever since during our marriage, there are times when we've gone out and we've seen the looks that people give us. I'm not typically the type of person, I probably don't look like the type of person somebody would want to walk up to and just say it to my face because they probably have a huge fear about that. There
You
might be
got
a
this
little,
tough demeanor.
yeah, you know, I think that's what it is. I mean, they're going to look for somebody that they can make those comments that they don't
Yeah.
expect retaliation, right? And I'm not
Yeah.
going to retaliate. I'm not going to give them the satisfaction if somebody were to say something like that to give them the satisfaction of, you know, doing anything physical to them or anything else. But with
Yeah.
that said, it's something that everybody, I think, you know, regardless. And keep in mind also, you know, racist behavior isn't just from people, from white people, from Caucasian people,
Yeah.
right? You have many other people, many other people from different countries, whatever the case may be, but they have their thoughts, they
Yeah.
have their beliefs, and they don't believe in actually finding out what the facts are. They're comfortable with their beliefs and they live it their whole lives. So
Yeah.
we got to keep that in mind also. We just need to, you know, again, come together as Americans, try not to have those beliefs. And if you have them,
No,
I mean, take the time to see, okay, why am I thinking this way?
absolutely.
Let me educate myself. Let me find out why I'm feeling this way. I don't believe is that's the way, you know, that's the way I grew up. Every time I hear that, I cringe. So the way you grew up, you basically lost the ability to use your own mind. You're 20, 30 years old and
Spot
you're
on.
still holding on to those beliefs. But yeah, I mean, I know there's a million, 100 million stories out there with people who have experienced some of the things that
Oh
we
yeah.
have.
Oh yeah.
Um, and
Totally.
it's a shame, but and it's not unique to just America. This is all over the globe. So
Well, I can tell you that for sure. You know better than I do.
yeah,
Again, it just made me so mad that why are we finding different reasons to hate each other? What are we saying? Like, if we all look the same across the world, I'm sure we'd find one thing minimum to differentiate each other, to
yeah,
find a way to treat somebody else different and feel better about it. I'm
yeah.
sure we do it. And it's wrong, but I love what you said. That was an excellent piece of wisdom that
Thank you.
if you think that way, question yourself, sit with it. Why do I think that? And you are so right. We learned it growing up, and it's not okay to think that way, even if you learned it growing up. So it's like you got to use your mind, like you're saying, unless it's like, okay, if you're not going to change that, well, don't bother learning anything else. Don't bother getting the new iPhone. Don't bother getting a new computer, tablet. You got to learn that too. Stop using your mind to stuff. Just go live somewhere where there's nothing new and everything's the same, so you cannot learn anything new and just keep the same stuff.
Yeah, true.
Doesn't make sense. Like, why are
Yeah,
we just turning it off for something and turning it on for something else? That's a good
yeah.
question. You spent 21 years in the service, sir. Help us understand the root of your commitment and share with us what originally inspired you to list in the Air Force in 1981 and what sparked your lifelong desire to continue serving others because you're doing it now, you know,
Right.
and what kind of kept that spark flaming all these years ago until now.
Well, I think when I joined the Air Force in 1981, and again, I'm from Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, New York. The one thing that I,
New
yeah,
York, New York.
I'm a New Yorker from Brooklyn.
New Yorkers and how they talk and all he's just quiet.
No, no, it's true actually.
Oh, that's too funny. Okay, go on, go on.
So
Brooklyn? You
yeah,
you're from Brooklyn?
yeah, and it wasn't the best environment, right? But
Yeah.
the one thing I focused on even at a young age was I wanted to make sure that I gave myself a chance to have a good life. One of those paths was to join the military. So that was
Mm,
my primary focus at that time. It was joining the military, learning skills that's going to help me to better myself in the future. You know, the way I was brought up and the environment I was brought up, but focus on what do I want to do? Where do I see myself in the future? And so I joined the military. And then in a very short time, it started to become this is more than just doing a job. Um, I started realizing that this is a contribution to helping keep our country free. It's a contribution to helping others. It's a contribution to being part of a team. All of those things that come along with that. It happened very quick. And again, I'm at a young age. I mean, I literally had to get permission from my guardians in order to join the military because I was 17 years old
Mm.
when I joined.
Wow.
So at that age, I mean, my mind was like a big blank book pad. There was a whole lot I didn't know, a whole lot I've never experienced. But once you join the military, things like that, I'm pretty sure many people in the military can attest to this, especially if you joined at a young age. It comes
Yeah.
at you fast and you
Wow.
have to keep up with it. You have to learn fast. So I sort of positive reasons of why I've joined. And then as each year went by, you find more and more reasons why you just want to kind of stick with it. And you just want to, you set a goal, whatever your goals are. Your goal might be, I'm going to do 10 years and get out. My goal was, I'm going to get at least 20 years, minimum 20 years in and retire. Wound up doing 21 years and successfully retired. So it's just one of those positive things I can look back on and
Thank you for your
be happy
service.
that I stuck to it. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, okay, you said 2 things.
Mm,
I'm gonna go to the first one and come back. Hold on to that. I'm gonna do 20 versus I'm gonna do 5 or 6. Because I heard someone who was going into the Air Force and he's like, I'm gonna do 6. And that was back in high school. I'm like, okay. But you said 20. That's a big number. So I want to
yeah.
dive into that. But I want to go back to what you said first. You grew up in Brooklyn. Now everyone knows New York City,
Hmm.
not New York State, New York City, and everyone knows Brooklyn.
Hmm.
So you said I didn't want, okay, I'm going to paraphrase it, okay? I didn't want the environment that I lived in to affect who I can be and what I can do. And
Right.
I wanted to do something better for myself. So I joined the military.
Right.
Where did that brilliant mindset come from at 17 years old? Who influenced you to think that way?
uh, I wish I could say I had parental influences or even influences from friends. I didn't. I didn't.
Mm,
I'm not anyone special. So I'll give you an example.
he's like,
When I was in school, finished junior high school, and I was
yeah.
going to go to high school, and they had high schools in my that were in my area in
Mm,
Bed-Stuy and other places.
mm.
But I wanted to go to a different high school. This high school is called Aviation High School, and it's
Oh,
located in Queens, New York.
okay.
I just said New York like a New Yorker, but anyway,
You must have met a lot of Guyanese people there. You know Guyanese?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Guyanese, bro. Queens
uh,
is the hub. Continue.
Queens,
Just
yeah,
had to say it. Guyana's like that's like mini Guyana right there.
yeah, it is.
Okay, so you went to aviation school in Queens. What else happened?
Aviation high school. So this was a high school you had to test for. It was a specialized
Yeah.
high school, and it
Oh yeah.
specialized in aviation. And I come back around on that when I looking at going into the Air Force. When I chose my military profession, I wanted to go into the Air Force because I actually
Mm,
went to aviation high school, learned a lot
mm.
about the aerospace industry, about aeronautics, all those type of things. I was the first one, according to what I was told. I was the first one ever from the Bed-Stuy area to ever attend that high school. And then I
Why
became the
did you
first
pick
one
that
to ever
one?
pass it.
How? Because that's very specific.
Mhm.
It's not just like I want to go to X high school in Queens. Like I want to go to aviation high school in Queens. That is very specific. Why specifically that?
Well, again, it was a focus on what do I want to do? What do I want my future to look like? I could have
And you
easily
knew you
gone
wanted
to,
to do something with airplanes.
I knew I
Something.
wanted to do something that was more specialized than just a typical or general education.
Okay.
So I knew
Interesting.
that inside.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was young, I was an avid book reader. I read books,
Wow.
all the time. That's what I spent a lot of my time doing. Things about space. I'm just fascinated with anything that has to do with space. So I did a
I said
lot of
airplanes.
studies, a
Look
lot
at
of
me.
reading.
Tunnel
Yeah.
vision.
Yeah.
It's airspace, y'all, not to airplanes.
It's aerospace. It's airplanes. It's all of that. It's like, and my mind always questioned, how does this happen? How does a plane stay in the air? Why does it stay in the air? And so I learned about all those things. And I think it gave me the confidence, again, moving on to joining the military,
Yeah.
to say, well, I've accomplished this. I'm going to look at this and give this a try also. So when I joined the military, I already had some background with basically pushing myself beyond the norm. And I'm blessed that I had a mind to do that. I've seen too many cases where, as you can imagine, a lot of people that grew up in my neighborhood, that's all they knew and that's all they ever wanted to know. But I knew there was something a lot better out there.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
I feel some waterworks coming, but I don't know if it's actually going to flow or is it just going to stay at the edges right now. It's staying at the edges right now. It's going back in. It's like sucked back in like a vacuum.
Yeah.
But I said you were lying. Shh, because you are special. You
Thank
said
you.
you're not special. I didn't mean you're lying about what you're saying. You're lying because you're special. And you said you weren't. You read books. You can't tell me I'm not special and I just decided I want to go to aviation school. Get out of here. It's no way. Friends didn't influence me, parents. No, something happened. Something happened to you. I can't really pick out what it is exactly, but it has something to do with the reading. And there's more. We don't have enough time to get in all that. I wish we did. But there's more behind that story
Mhm.
that made you think there's more than what I can do. I know it because I grew up in that. And I know folks who've grown up in that. When I went to high school, it wasn't about, oh, I'm going to go to Brown University. I'm going to go to Harvard. It was all about, are you going to graduate? Are you
Yeah.
going to go to a college?
Yeah.
Wow. If you
Yeah.
graduated, well done. If you went to a college, whoa, like movie star. Look at them. They're going to college.
Right.
That's where we grew up.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was like that, or probably not as celebrated in that way.
Right.
Like it was probably like a bigger deal for you guys in Brooklyn. I'm don't know specifically, but I want to imagine it's similar.
Yeah.
So when you grow up like that, I said tunnel vision. I made a joke on myself, but I am tunnel vision sometimes because I got books on my bookshelf. I didn't have that many books growing up.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
have the ability to buy books that I wanted to read because I struggled to read the books that were assigned in school
Right.
because I didn't get to read enough growing up.
Mhm.
And so reading was not my favorite thing. Even when I went to college, I didn't know what I was going to do. So when you said I want to go to aviation high school, that's real specialized.
Yeah.
It's not just I want to go to a better high school. It's different. And I think there's probably 50 other reasons, but one of the biggest reasons, and parents, you got to be listening here, is because you read a lot of books.
Right.
And we need to put down the screens right now because reading changes minds and changes lives. And it changed your lives.
Yeah. Thank you. And I agree. I mean, I've read so many different things, growing up. Again, I just love doing it. But I
Yeah.
think that's what gave me that focus to say this Bed-Stuy is not the entire world. This doesn't have to be my world.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, getting that knowledge and knowing the world is so much bigger. There's so much many other things that I can apply myself towards. So yeah, and it did help me. But like I said, I feel blessed because
Mhm.
I had the mind to do that. Um, I feel myself lucky. And way
Yeah.
back then and in the 70s and everything else.
Oh,
But
yeah.
of course we didn't have all the game systems and cell phones, things like that.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a good thing because would it have distracted me from that?
Absolutely.
I don't think it would have, but I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
But like you said, these days, that's what they have, and that's what they focus on.
Whatever you put in the child's hand, the child views that, oh, this is important.
Right.
This is something I need to value. This is something I need to focus on. Otherwise, kids don't care about it. Can you believe that? It's so ingrained in my head. I've seen it so many times. I can tell you the design of it and the brand
Yeah.
on a newborn diaper. You are telling your kids screens are important because you put it in their hands too soon.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
replace it with the book. I guarantee you're going to be like Officer King. Your kids are going to be like Officer King, even though screens are rampant everywhere. They'll be more interested in the book. So wonder what's the screen, what's going on over there. They'll be curious, but they're going to be more interested in the book because you put that in their hand. That's just my opinion. I know everyone's situation is different, so please no judgment here. And I wanted to ask you, sir, you don't just let what you learned affect you and lead your life. You are actually changing the lives of kids. And I wanted to get to this question and we'll get to the back to our previous topic. You're
Okay.
spreading education
Right.
because it's clearly a passion of yours as you articulated through your reading.
Mhm.
So, what is the core message you share with local students as you do your outreach? Because that's something I wanted us to talk about, who might not see themselves represented in the fire service. And what if those kids didn't have the mindset that you had? What would you tell them if they're listening today or their parents are listening today? So, let me give you space to answer.
Yeah, sure. In my job as a fire inspector, also, and I'm assigned to inspect the schools in Bellevue. So that's one of the avenues I have to interact with our young folks, our young kids. It could be, elementary school kids, even kindergarten on up, and even kids in high school. So I've gone inside these places. It's funny because sometimes there is a shocked look on their face when they see me walk in uniform, right? It's shocked. And so, and there's a couple of funny things about that, but with the young kids, they love it. When I see, kids of color, regardless of where they're from, a lot of them look at me and you can see in some of them the amazement in their eyes because again, it's not expected. It's not something they see all the time. And I've had the opportunity to talk to classes. I've had teachers ask me to come in and say a few words to the kids. And so I will come in and we'll talk about fire safety. We'll talk about, other things. And of course, especially the ones in the lower grades, they have a ton of questions. They
Mm.
just have, and then they have to tell stories about the family. So we try to cut that off before they say something that we really don't want everybody to hear that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. I love doing it. The education part of it, I think I wrote in there, but while I was in Arizona working with the Goodyear Fire Department, my part-time job was teaching at the fire academy. I taught it part-time, and I did that for 19 years. So talking to young people, teaching young people, has been a huge part of my life. I'll continue to do that to basically try to educate them on how to do things better, be it in their job, be it in life, whatever the case may be. And same thing goes for my own grandchildren, right? Same thing. It's trying to educate them on how to be their best. And my daughters, Rhonda and Selena, they do a great job uh, on putting that forward. They are focused on education, focused on, my grandkids get a chance to do some of those things, but they're keeping them involved with outside activities and sports or taekwondo, whatever it is they're doing.
Mhm.
So they push that forward also. But yeah, no, it's a thing I truly love to do. And again, being able to do it as part of my job is just amazing.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I
Mhm.
want to bring back my second part of my question because I noticed you didn't answer. I don't know if it was on purpose. You're trying to, Mr. Special, trying to escape my questions here. But when you have that kid, when you're interacting with them, when you go to those schools, right?
Uh-huh.
Don't
Mhm.
matter what the level is.
Mhm.
What do you tell them? Because you go to all kinds of neighborhoods, I'm sure, in Bellevue,
Right.
and it's not all the same. What do you say to them if they're listening here today or their parents are listening?
Well, it's something that's said all the time. It said, if I can do it, you can do it. So it depends on the age of the child. If it's young children and you talk to them and you ask them about these things, and I can basically say that to them. Look, you can do anything that you put your mind to. You just have to focus on it. I did it, and I don't give them the details about my past or anything like
Yeah.
that, because they're young.
Oh, obviously.
So I don't want to scare them. But
Shotgun.
yeah, yeah, no kidding. But it's just a thing of talking to them, especially if they look at themselves and say, "Hey," be it they're young ladies, the young
Yeah.
men, whoever it is, young people of color, young people, Caucasian people, it doesn't matter. But you tell them, you put your mind to it, you try hard, and just you will achieve a goal eventually. When I take a look at older kids, and I've had many people approach me and ask about the fire service.
Mm,
And so
that's
I've sat
wonderful.
down yeah, I've sat down, I've talked to them. I've met with them, off duty, sat down, had coffee,
Mhm,
and they had questions. And so I gave them pointers about what it entails in the fire service. What would you need to do to be successful
mhm,
and things like that. And again, there were some that were basically of color.
mhm.
So to them, and now we're talking about, people that are like 20 years old or 19 years old and they're
Yeah.
looking starting it. Well, I will tell them about my past because if they're thinking that I can't do this. I
Mhm.
I don't see anybody around, in in that job that looks like me, I tell them, look at me. Let me tell you where I came from. Let me tell you what I've done. And there's no reason why you can't do the same thing. You just have to try to do it.
So how do you navigate it? You know, I'm with you.
Mhm.
I went to an event yesterday, and I'll tell you, every time I go to an event, I stick out like a sore thumb. How do you encourage them to develop that muscle so they don't give up when they are the only ones that look like them in the room?
I tell them to stay focused on what it is they want to do. You know, the the
Mm,
the biggest challenge is blocking all that stuff out, right?
yeah,
Excuse me. There are
yeah,
those out there that will do their best to try to detour you from your
yeah,
goals.
yeah.
But you have to look inside yourself and find the strength to just keep pushing forward. And you're not going to be successful in everything that you do. That's regardless of who you are. One of the things, and you have to look at is say, if I fail, how do I pick myself back up and try again? Because I guess the best message out there is learning that if you fail, you shouldn't just give up, throw your hands up and say, I can't do this. You have to try. You have to keep trying. And again, block out those negative things. And the thing about it is, with even with the people that are giving negative vibes and trying to derail you, you're going to also have people that's going to try to support you and it's going to try to be there for you. And again, I try to play a part, that part when I'm dealing with the public, when I'm dealing with young people that are asking me questions. They'll always have my number. It's like, give me a call. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know if you just want to sit down and talk. I'll be
I
right
love
here.
that. I
Yeah.
love that. God bless you, sir. Your message just now, I can guarantee you affected one person because I needed it.
Okay, good.
You
There you go.
sometimes you were just saying, like, there are people that are out there to kinda just put you down. Sometimes you hear it so much from outside that you yourself internalize those messages,
Right.
and they become your own beliefs.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you think it's other people, but it's actually the filter that you're using in your mind to process what other people are telling you, and you
Right.
end up killing it yourself, and you end up becoming your own worst enemy that puts yourself down. So I like what you're saying, keep your focus straight, but also make sure that you're not the one that's shifting your focus. But any last words on that topic, sir, before I go to the next one?
Well, one thing, I think of a song
Mm,
that was done, performed by Whitney Houston, and George Benson did a one also. And the title is Greatest Love of All.
mm,
And in those lyrics, one of the things they say is, I found the greatest love of all inside of me,
mhm,
right?
mm.
Learning to love yourself, things like that.
Yeah,
So that applies. It truly applies to what you're saying. That gives you the confidence. Love
yeah,
who you are. You'll find that confidence. Um, Again, don't let setbacks, failures
yeah,
dictate on how you push forward. It should be,
absolutely.
if I didn't get through the door trying this, then I'm going to try this other way. But somehow I'm going to keep trying until it unlocks and I can walk through
Nice. That's the message that kids need to hear. I
it.
knew we were gonna get to it somehow. Thank you so much. I think
Sure.
everybody needs to hear that. Kids, adults, sometimes you just give up knocking, you know?
Yeah,
Feel like the
exactly.
door is too hard. But that's not a problem for you, 'cause you guys got those big axes. Just hammer it down.
Hurry
Those
to
things are
believe. We try
heavy.
not to.
Those
We're
are those
told
are
that,
real heavy. I don't know how the women do it, but that you guys inspire me every day. Thank you
oh,
so much for that.
they have some strong women in
Yeah.
the fire service. And you look at them, you would never think it. I've had the pleasure of working with a few
Yeah.
of them and being in
Yeah.
the same department, but I've seen when they've done the training and you look and it's like, how does a 130-pound at the most woman, maybe even less than that, drag a 200+ pound person wearing all that gear? And
Yeah.
they do it.
And
And
it's
I think a
heavy.
lot of it is right here, not give up mentality. And
Yeah.
it's that, hey, I'm going to show you that I can do whatever you can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It has nothing to do with what makes us different. It's all about what keeps us the same. We forget we all
Right.
have a brain, you know?
Exactly.
That's like the one commonality. It doesn't have a color. Well, actually, probably does have a color. I forget. I did anatomy a long time ago, but it's got a color, but it's the same color. It's the
Yes, it
same
is.
color.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. Size might be a little different, but it works the same way. So there you go. You can't
Exactly.
get that difference differentiated again. Size different. So I'm not that good. No, it works the same way. So you just have to figure out how to work it.
Yeah.
Well, sir, on that note about women, and that's our last question for today, you are a powerful ally, and you already talked about it in different ways. How do you actively use your position as a sponsor to open doors for women in professions that have traditionally been male dominated, especially in the military and the fire department?
I guess, again, the best way probably to open those doors is, first of all, convincing them to even try the door, right?
Mm,
If you don't try it, then you're not going to achieve it. The second thing is
mm,
to try to build up that confidence in them and make them understand not everybody. Well, I'll use the fire service as an example. Basically, when somebody is looking to join the fire service, it's a huge testing process. There's physical tests, there's written tests, there's all kinds of other things that you have to do. One of those things is that, or most times, people who go through it the first time do not succeed in getting picked up by a fire department. So they have to do it multiple times. So if
yeah,
you're that type of person, you did it one time, you said, I'm not going to achieve this, and you give up, then you're doing yourself wrong. You shouldn't do that. Multiple times, just do it. So if I'm talking to some of the young ladies out there, same thing. If you go through that process and you don't make it the first time, understand that that's the norm. It's not based on you personally. It's not based on the fact that you're female. If it's a person of color, same thing I would say to them. It's not based on the color of your skin. This is
right,
what the norm is. So
right,
if anything you try
uh-huh,
and you're trying to achieve that goal,
uh-huh,
the only thing you have to remember is keep trying.
uh-huh.
Keep trying. Figure out a way. If that hurdle
Yeah,
is there
yeah,
and you're trying to jump it and you keep flipping and you keep tripping over it and everything else,
absolutely.
okay, well, this time I'm going to go through that hurdle. I'm going to go around that hurdle, but I'm going to get on the other side of that hurdle instead of, again, throwing your hands up and saying, I can't do it. So I guess that's the best advice I can give to anybody out there that,
Yeah,
is trying to achieve a goal.
that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that and being here today. Listeners, this always happens. We have amazing guests, and your host is already amazing. And
Yes.
we have fantastic conversations, but unfortunately, we've come to the end of our time and it's time to close out here. So, Ron, thank you for standing with us today and sharing the raw truth of your journey. Your story of resilience and your dedication and being an ally for women is incredible, and especially inspiring young minds is exactly what the world needs more of in this world today.
Thank
And
you.
for our
I appreciate it.
listeners, you're so welcome. It's been an honor. And for listeners, Officer King's story is a reminder that even in the toughest environments, we can lead with heart and purpose. Just keep your focus, right? It's like being the horse with the blinders on. Focus on what's in front of you, forget about all the distractions, and you can be where he is today in your own path. So, listeners, before you go, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. And, in addition to following on our social channels, you'll see them below in the show notes. And as this episode closes out, make sure you comment. What did you like about this episode today? And also like our episodes on Spotify as well and give a comment and a rating. That also helps amplify this platform and amplify voices, powerful voices like Officer Ron's today. And I'll see you next time.